Okay, this is where I do a hat switch. I spend about 15% of my time in UKNOF and about 75% working for this other organization called DNS OARC, which you can't really pronounce as easily as UKNOF. But my colleague, William Sotomayor, has been working on the AS112 project for rather longer than I have been involved in OARC. And he's been doing some interesting data gathering and analysis on that, which we thought it'd be a good idea to share with you. So what does OARC do? It's a membership organization. Most of its members are organizations that run DNS infrastructure, whether they're the authoritative or resolver. We have many GTLD and CCTLD registries, a lot of vendors of DNS software and hardware. And as well as doing the community building and running workshops, we do things like providing tools for collaboration, software tools that you can use to test your DNS or to run in your own network. We also do a lot of data gathering. We have just finished something that we do every year called the Day in the Life of the Internet, where we get many of our members to do a 48-hour capture of the query PCAPs to their authoritative servers. Looks like that's going to be a bumper haul this year. We have an 80 terabyte data set going back a decade for that, and we're certainly going to add at least a tenth of that this time round. If you like some of the DNS talks today, there's a whole lot more and a lot more depth in a workshop that we're running in Amsterdam just before the next RIPE meeting in May. So you would certainly be very welcome at that, but that's not actually what I'm here to talk about today. AS112 is a community effort. Basically, you're probably familiar with all the crap that comes onto your network from Net 10 or Net 192.168 that should never have been leaking past people's NATs or firewalls. Well, not only is there junk traffic with these source IP addresses in it, there's also a whole load of IAN adder queries that finish up for these as well. And this stuff if you don't stop this, all this stuff flows back up to the root and just generates a load of junk crap at the root. AS112 is a distributed anycast sponge which soaks that up. And it's been around for a while. Anyone can run an AS112 server. You just need to configure it correctly and get the BGP peerings up. It does a very useful job. There should be one near you. According to the list that William maintains, there are 12 nodes in the UK. Well, it seems we don't have any in Wales or Scotland or Northern Ireland. One in Manchester is apparently run by EXA, so I'd be happy to talk to the EXA guys about that. But one of the challenges of coordinating a project like this is keeping that data refreshed. So there is actually a listing that William maintains. Please check it if you've got better data. We'd love to hear from you on that. So here's where the AS112 servers are in the British Isles. And there's also been some new developments in the IETF with regard to AS112, in particular those two new drafts. One is about adding IPv6 and also changing the status of the AS112 AS number and the address /24 that it uses into special category in IANA as opposed to a regional internet registry. And there's also a new DNAME standard, which is about using the aliasing capability of DNAME within the DNS to maintain the list of prefixes on a more dynamic basis rather than having to be statically coded. So they're close to becoming RFCs, but please check these drafts, and if there's anything about these drafts you want to let us know, again, please do that. Some changes happened recently because of these drafts being in the works. You should expect IPv6 queries at AS112 nodes, and then there are also the new prefixes. And yeah, the creativity of junk to flow around the internet is quite significant. This will give you an idea. This is some statistics that William has gathered off one or more AS112 instances, and this will give you an idea of the proportion of IPv6 traffic to IPv4 traffic in a dual stack universe, which looks pretty similar to other regular traffic. William's been running surveys, and basically he's asking people, and he's also gathering data. One of the methodologies that he's been using for gathering data is to bounce queries off all these 7 million open resolvers that sit out there on the internet, which are otherwise a very annoying source of hassle. But they're actually a good way of running a survey and figuring out, well, if I bounce traffic off of this open resolver, where is it going to finish up? Is it going to, what AS112 server is it going to finish up? So he's posted data on this. I'm trying to automate it as much as possible. There are directories of open resolvers out there that you can use for this. And then really it's just a case of parallelizing the queries on that data and then re-aggregating the results. So what do the results look like? As I say, about depressing number of nearly 8 million open resolvers on the internet out there. He found just under 1 million of them useful. Found a few observations. There doesn't seem to be very consistent naming of AS112 nodes. Although you can get the clients and the servers geographically close, sometimes there's some very suboptimal routing going on there. There needs to be better peering. In theory, any AS112 node is fully open peering to everybody, ideally internet exchanges. Churn isn't too bad. Looks like Hive in Paris is the biggest AS112 node. It may be that there are more than one server being operated by the same organization. This essentially is a sort of top 10 of who the most popular nodes are in terms of soaking up this junk. So you see there's pretty good geographic spread there. The other way of finding this out is via the operator's listing. So what he's done is plotted the listing against the survey results. And you can see that here's the listing, here's the survey results. They're not too different. Interesting really that a lot more stuff shows up in the listing than necessarily in the survey results. But of course, it's about the detail. Doesn't seem to be a lot of difference for this year's survey. And it would also be useful not just to show it geographically, but also in terms of adjacencies on the network. But it's really going to require better coordination to do this. Of course, William, like me, has multiple hats, and another hat that he has is OTEX, Ottawa Internet Exchange. So that allows him to do some work on how you might ideally do visualization. And it's like, well, okay, so AS112 is a problem, but how do you explain the fact that your piece of network is generating a load of toxic waste onto the internet without getting very involved in how BGP and DNS works and all the rest of it? So he's been doing some data visualization work. Here's a way of showing AS112 traffic. And you look at that and you think, well, what the hell does that mean? But essentially, if you look at the graph, you will see that there are bigger blobs which show pretty much the exhaust. So you can actually take this map and you can point to it and you say, well, this big blob here is actually coming from your particular network, and this is how much you're contributing to the bad stuff on the internet, and perhaps you should think about doing something with that. Now, whether the larger ones mean that there's a lot of traffic coming out there, or whether it's just one /32 with a whole pile of stuff behind it and a NAT is an interesting question. And the other thing is, it's not just junk. There can actually be sensitive network internal data in terms of knowledge about the network or what is going on inside the network that can be leaked out this way. So that is basically what I have to say about AS112. I hope that I'll be able to make an announcement about some improvements. One thing that's important to understand is that OARC does not operate production name servers. We operate various research data gathering name servers, but the business of operating name servers is something that we leave to our members as DNS operators. AS112 is kind of somewhere in between these two, because on the one hand it is not really a production name server. If it went away, it wouldn't probably cause anything to go down. It would just cause the toxic junk to increase and flow somewhere else. But at the same time, it's not a completely experimental one either. And we're hoping to expand some of our activity in AS112 that will improve our ability to gather data about the problems that are there and help to understand them better, while also hopefully providing some infrastructure improvement in a corner of the internet near you. That's the AS112 talk. I'd be happy to take any questions. Will.
The microphone always comes from a different direction. Will Hargrave from LONAP. So what are you actually saying here? Do you saying that we need more AS112 nodes?
More AS112 nodes for sure.
Okay.
That would definitely be better. Better coordination between the AS112 operators that are happening. It's great if you can go out and set up an AS112 server, but actually people who are actively involved in the list and doing some data gathering stuff is even more useful than somebody just setting up and leaving it in a closet somewhere. And also helping to share data about the best locations for AS112 servers and identify where we need them, not just from a geographic point of view, but also from a network topology point of view. There's a longer version of this presentation, which we'll be giving at the OARC workshop, which goes into some analysis of AS112 on national research and education networks. And because of the slightly strange way that they appear with the rest of the internet, the anomalies between where the servers and clients are geographically and where the traffic from the client finishes up being sunk in terms of some other corner of the world is quite strange. So helping with the data gathering to understand the extent of this problem so that we can then feed that back into figuring out, well, here's where we actually need more AS112 nodes, or we need to improve the peering. I think there are also just a lot of people haven't heard of it, and I think that spreading the knowledge so that people know this is something that's cheap and easy to configure and actually helps is key.
When I joined LONAP, which is an extremely long time ago, there was an AS112 project, but which never really got off the ground. But we could certainly think about having an AS112 node at LONAP if.
I thought you had one already. Well, I'll say what I said to another.
Well, we have. I mean, maybe some of our members have some connected, but we don't have one that's run as part of the Exchange suite of services, as it were.
Well, we should talk. We can maybe help you with that.
Sure.
Rob.
Hi Keith, Rob Evans, Janet. If more DNS servers deployed the default local zones style config, would the need for AS112 reduce or even go away?
Potentially, yeah. We'll have to see how the new RFC work pans out, and how long it takes people to implement that.
Bob Slayer, EE. Does AS112 also cover the shared space, 196?
Sorry, which shared space?
I don't know the RFC reference, the 100.96/12, is it? 100, what was it?
I don't know. I think that's a good question.
It would be helpful if it did, I think.
check the drafts, because there's been a lot of numbers added recently, so it's probably worth checking that. But yeah, I mean, again, that sounds like a good idea. And if it's not in the drafts, then I would suggest getting back to the draft editors, or do that through us. Okay.